Forbes India and Wipro present Lead with Change, CXO Boardroom Dialogues.
Hello everyone and welcome to Forbes India and Wipro present Lead with Change, the CXO Boardroom Dialogues, a series bringing together India's top C-suite leaders for high-impact conversations. I'm Avan Dabash. In a world where every business is a digital business, the Chief Information Security Officers, the CISOs, have become more than just guardians of data. They've become the architects of trust. The role isn't confined to firewalls and compliance. It's about enabling innovation securely, making cybersecurity a growth strategy, not just a safeguard. Today, we'll explore how security is moving beyond compliance to become part of the organization's DNA. To decode the formula of secure by design, we have with us Sameer Ratolikar, the CISO at HDFC Bank. We also have Vishal Dixit. He's the India country head at Wipro. Joining in is Athir Ahad, Vice President and CISO at Wipro. Abhijit Chakravarti is the Executive Vice President Networks and Cybersecurity at Kotak Mahindra Bank. We have with us Gaurav Duggal, CISO at Jio Platforms, as well as Suresh Sharma, Group CISO, Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you so much for joining in. This is a very pertinent topic that I think needs all of our attention. And so I'm going to begin with you, Vishal, because you interact a lot with the CEOs and with boards of Indian enterprises. And the conversation around cybersecurity, I'm sure, has changed a lot over the last few years. What are some of the key concerns and what are some of the key challenges that the Indian CEOs are grappling with?
Excellent. So it's a great question actually, right? So the conversation with the CEO has changed drastically in past, right, as compared to what we used to discuss with them in past. It is no more discussion around just the IT concerns. It has gone to the board level conversations, right? It's a leader's conversation in the boardroom at this point of time. There is a more focus on the resilience in terms of your IT setup, IT infrastructure. They are started thinking not to invest more on the tools, right, rather than creating a robust architecture for themselves, more resilient architecture for themselves. They are now talking about embedding cybersecurity, right, into the DevOps, right? They are talking about securing themselves from the AI-led threats at this point of time. They are talking about creating a sovereign cybersecurity setup for themselves, right? The trust model, which is left shift kind of a strategy for themselves. So those are the critical aspects what we are hearing from all the CEOs level, which essentially means they are moving away from just the defense, right? They are looking at cybersecurity as the main mechanism for cyber security management as well as creating trust for their own enterprise.
Absolutely, and I think that you put it very well. These are no more IT concerns now. These are AI threats and actual threats that we're living with. So, Athir, I wanted to understand a little bit more about the client zero approach at Wipro, because you guys really are implementing that right now to actually ensure that your internal systems become proving grounds for products and services before they are actually offered to clients. How does it work?
Absolutely. So before I get to that question of client zero, I just wanted to give you a context in terms of for what do I become the client zero, right? And the context is being a technology services company, we don't build standalone software products, unlike a software product company. So our focus is on creating what we call it as intellectual property in the form of frameworks, platforms, service accelerators, tools, etc. These are meant to power and differentiate us across our service offerings and our portfolio of services that we deliver to our customers. These IPs that we develop, they're not the end products that are sold to the customer. These are more of, we call it as strategic enablers, meant to accelerate service delivery, enhance efficiency, and say consistency in the way we deliver services to our customers, as well as enable innovation and agility to our customers. So that's a background of the context in terms of what we build, develop, etc. And these IPs come in different forms and shapes. Right? Some are very proprietary to us because we own those IPs. We also kind of co-innovate with our strategic partners where we build solutions together and take those solutions to the market. And these IPs are kind of co-owned by us and our strategic partners as well. We also work very actively with the startup ecosystem, and we again work with them to kind of take their cutting-edge solutions to our customers so that we further kind of accelerate business transformation to our customers, etc. I, as a CISO, or my function as a CISO function, we serve as a user zero for most of the solutions that our business teams develop today, which means we test them, we validate them, we refine them before these solutions go to the clients. Okay? It creates some kind of a feedback loop between us and our business teams, which develop these solutions and platforms, where my team's operational insights go directly into refining these products and solutions.
Got it.
Which essentially means that what we deliver to the customers is kind of field tested and it works, right? That's very important, right? It also gives us two kind of broad benefits, according to me. One is it helps our business teams to take these solutions to the market faster and with greater confidence, because these solutions have been proven in our environment and kind of really tested in a real world kind of a scenario, right? And the second benefit that I see is it kind of strengthens customers' trust, because when customers see that we are relying on the same solutions and platforms that we are trying to sell them, it kind of reassures them that these solutions really work, they are practical, and these are effective, right? So broadly, in summary, if you will, as a user zero, our job is to ensure that we trust our own solutions that we build, we prove them in our environment, okay? We enable our business teams, right, and give the confidence to the customers that what we sell to them is actually securing us today, right? So that's broadly the way we serve as user zero for the business and for our customers, essentially.
Absolutely. Field tested, and it's actually working with your customers. Abhijit, I wanted to come to you as well, because Kotak Mahindra Bank has spent quite heavily last year. There's been a lot of upgradation when it comes to the digital infrastructure, when it comes to the IT infrastructure. How has this given you an edge? How have you stayed ahead of the regulatory framework? And more importantly, what kind of opportunities has this opened up?
Upgrade in technology overall in terms of whether it is cybersecurity, whether it's in the IT, whether it's in the cloud or the digital. I think the clear objectives were, like how do we build a platform? I'll use an acronym, I call it the SST. Stands for speed, simplicity, and trust. How do you kind of engage different platforms to deliver speed, simplicity, and trust to your end customer, right? The objectives within the technology team were a few. One is automation. Second is visibility and observability. Third, obviously, is agility. That's important differentiator in the market, right? And within the bank, we are pretty aggressive in adoption of cloud and adoption of the digital technology platforms and building them to make a more leaner and a more efficient delivery mechanism, right? So this is where all the efforts of the bank have gone in the last maybe 2 odd years time frame.
Sameer, I'm sure you'll be able to add to that, because he brought up a nice acronym, SST. How have you at HDFC Bank really stayed ahead of the curve in terms of integrating your digital innovation and the product design?
So look, today cyber risk is business risk, right? So the board understands this concept very well now. Over a period of time, there is a good sensitizations and awareness among the board members. So that way, so it's basically driven top down. So there is no hindrances in designing your strategies and executing it, right? That's point number one. Second point, see, security is all about, core at the design, okay? And then the implementation, etc. So in our case, whenever any initiative for the customers is rolled out, of course, it has go through the security assessments, then compliance checks, in technical cyber language, we call it as the vulnerability assessment, penetration testing. So if it's a very critical, super critical feature, it is tested by our internal red teaming, etc. But more than that, what is important is how the security is giving or helping the business in enhancing the customer trust, or for that matter, improving the customer experience. I think that is the most important aspects which is coming up right now for CISOs to be more effective and the business enabler in a true sense. Just to give an example, if you want to carry out transactions on, say, our mobile banking today, right? So we have recently launched a product called Kavach, which is replacing the SMS OTP as a form factor, because predominantly SMS OTP has become quite vulnerable now, right? So that form factor, which not only gives, not only secures the customer transactions, but also give a fantastic experience, superior experience to the customer, right? So that's the way to look at it. Okay, and that's how I think our efforts are right now. That is how you become more not only enabler, but by being enabler, you help your businesses or the customer to improve the customer experiences whenever the security is embedded inside the product. So I think that's where the thought process is going on right now.
Absolutely, that's quite reassuring to hear as a customer, I'm sure. And as you said very rightly, cyber risk is business risk. So this needs to be looked at very closely. Suresh, I wanted to get in your take as well, because lots more Indians now are trading via mobile apps. I mean, our mobile phone is now our 11th finger practically, but they of course are becoming prime targets for cyber attacks. So tell us about the approach when it comes to securing the mobile trading systems.
What we do is we do use a mix of technology which we buy, but then it's like you have bought a ready-made garment. So what we do is we actually customize that whole piece inside. We call it as cyber engineering altogether.
Okay.
What we actually try to achieve is how my consumers are using it. So for example, if somebody uses the mobile app for doing trading or something like that, we observe the pattern and then we create a baseline, right? So the whole idea is if we can actually make the usage becomes customized to your need. So that's exactly how we actually protect the whole organization, at the same time protecting the end users. The idea is not only protecting the companies. Believe me, if we start protecting the companies, I'm quite sure we are not talking about protecting the end users as well. So what we do is we create an ecosystem in a way that it is safe for you, safe for me. Because at the end of the day, if it is trust which is being built, the product will be successful. Yeah. So that's the whole idea.
Yep, absolutely. Building trust is very critical. And, Gaurav, with a company like Jio, which has this very vast digital infrastructure, how do you structure cyber resilience into the strategy and make sure that it's predictive, that it's intelligence driven rather than just being reactive?
Great question. So Jio recently celebrated 500 million users, if you all know. We are the largest telco, as second largest primarily in the world, catering to 500 million users. So data privacy, data security, customer data, we call them ourselves as a custodian of their data. So we take it very, very seriously from day one. A lot of these things which people are right now looking at in terms of PII data and all, we have engineered it grounds up. We call it Atmanirbhar. So we call it, we have built, like our chairman says it and our prime minister says it, we have built it all in-house. In terms of AI, use a lot of AI in our red teaming. Data scientists are in our red teaming for us to predict and not just be defensive. Recently, we had a skirmish with our neighbor. So we are a national infrastructure by any means. So we were also hit by a lot of such miscreants. But fortunately, since we had invested long, we were able to safeguard ourselves during those times. And lately, agentic AI has become a big thing where people are looking at using AI to do everything. We are also one of them's using a lot of things
Yeah.
if you look at it. But agentic AI has both pros and cons. I have recently published a book on agentic AI at risk, which is you are always looking for the positives of agentic AI, but there are a lot of risk associated with this. I was talking to Suresh before this, wherein people think that you can download a browser, and that browser you can order something by not even searching. Like you can go and say, I want to buy a fund from Motilal, Oswal or HDFC, but then you will see that your PII data is getting leaked by intent, not by an attacker. So intent is also an attack. So that is a big thing which people don't realize, and people just do it day in, day out. And at least knowing those risks is very important, and taking those risks with the knowledge is what we can do.
Absolutely, taking those risks and having the right knowledge behind it. Vishal, I wanted to understand from you as well, how is it that you're helping clients actually quantify the ROI of investing a secure by design approach, and how do you help them beyond fear and compliance?
Right. So the answer is in the question, right? Secure by design.
Yeah.
So which basically means that at the design level itself, we have to take care of the security aspects, right? So at the inception, it has to be core of the strategy rather than at the end objective, right? That's how it is. Now from the ROI perspective, which we also called ROSI, which is return on security investment at this point of time, right? So the ROIs for the customers are in terms of fewer outages, quick response to the customer, and the more importantly, which is basically building the trust for your enterprise, right? Because the fewer the attacks, the fewer the instances, right? You will be seen as more robust, right? So these are 2-3 prerogatives I will put across, the critical ROIs, right? Other than the security aspects of it.
Absolutely. And like you said, it has to be at the core of the decision-making process at the very start. And Arthur, if you were to sort of scratch the surface a little bit further, because Wipro has always been at the forefront and been a fairly early adopter when it comes to AI, how does this really help you fine-tune your deployment strategies?
So we all trying to be the early adopters. So we are one of them to be early adopters of AI. What has helped us, early adoption of AI has in a way helped us fine-tune our own defenses, okay, by making, for example, threat modeling much earlier and more accurate, and at the same time making our deployments more robust, okay. For example, AI-driven analysis of identity and access patterns has helped us identify or spot abnormal behaviors very early into the cycle. AI has really helped in some of the other use cases in terms of reducing false positives for us. In some use cases, it has helped us stopping privilege misuse before it actually escalates, for that matter, right? So with all these kind of coming in together, what has happened is there is a shift from the so-called reactive detection to more of moving towards a predictive kind of a defense kind of a strategy, which in a way has helped us. I just want to remain very humble and grounded in saying that helped us mature and make our security posture more resilient, okay, to be honest.
Yeah, you've said it in a very humble way, but it is very important with this predictive defense stance that you guys have approached, and the fact that you've been an early adopter of AI. And Abhijit, coming to you, because even your internal capabilities have been bolstered a lot at Kotak Mahindra Bank. How is that helping you to further improve the overall cyber resilience posture, and what does this mean for your further tech partnerships?
See, I think Athi touched upon a very important point. A couple of things I guess I'll add to what Athi just said. So you've got to, when you're making technology investments, you've got to look at two things. You've got to look at what's your cyber posture, how is that posture improving, how is it adding to your resilience, and how combination of this, how is it building more trust, right? I think these three things are important, right? See, incidents will happen. There will be challenges, there will be incidents that will happen, but I think the capability to detect well in time and kind of whether you can preempt it, whether you can prevent it, I think that's a learning, that's a journey that one has to take. And you've got to walk that path, right? I think that's important. But what's also equally important is getting intelligence and collating data to be able to, I use this word called actionable input. You know. See, today you have a lot of data. If any organization says we don't have data, I just don't believe them. There's a lot of data. The problem or the constraint is, what are you doing with that data? Is that data giving you an actionable input? So I'll give you a very layman's example. Generally, I always enter my office from the front door. For some reason, one day I entered from the back door and I was let in, okay? Now, was that an incident? Over a period of time, has that become a pattern? This is where intelligence comes in. So you've got to look at threat detection, threat intelligence. From threat detection and intelligence, you've got to derive what is my threat model and hence the actionable out of it, right? So I think this is a continuous journey. You've got to kind of continuously go ahead and do it. And everything that you do has to add into your cyber posture improvement. Right? I'm very fond of these two things, and you know, I'm sure Samir would agree. Is one is threat exposure management.
Yeah.
The second is attack surface management. I think if these two pieces of it are broadly kind of in detail addressed, I think a lot of the threats that we talk about today of the evolving threat landscape, I think can be contained. You know, so I think these two areas are like pretty much in focus.
Yeah. You said it's threat exposure management and attack surface
management. Yes.
So would you like to add to that, Samir, and tell us about how critical both of these are and how, you know, in this very vast ecosystem that you guys have at HDFC Bank, you're really measuring and mitigating third-party risks without stifling business agility?
Okay. So
two questions rolled in one.
Correct. So I'll take the first question. So what Abhijit said is very right. So, but threat exposure management is little, what do you call your umbrella terminology, which covers, you know, your traditional patch management, your vulnerability management, attack surface management, and now a new word is called CTEM, cyber threat exposure management, covering all these areas where, you know, the entire vulnerability gets ingested into one data fabric, and then you get a continuous posture of your application or asset, right? But yeah, it's quite important because that's where the world is going, and I think the people have realized that we have used the fragmented approach for managing the risk all these years. Okay, different teams managing the various areas, be it a vulnerability management, separate team, be it the patch management, be it a penetration testing, be it the information systems audit, be it a red teaming. So I think all the such exercises which are being carried out in regular intervals with the objective is common, right? So why don't we actually, you know, ingest all those vulnerabilities, all the outcome out of these exercises into one data fabric, apply the machine learning algorithms and get a score out of it, or at least get a prioritized approach. Imagine the kind of simplification this has brought into the CISO's life. Because right now, instead of grappling with mitigating, say, 20,000 vulnerabilities, I know that these are the top 10 vulnerabilities which I should focus, right? Because of the contextualizations as part of this threat exposure management, and a lot of multiple parameters, they plays a role, right? So he's right in a sense. To answer to your second point on third party, that is to me the top 3 risks. Honestly, if you ask me what are the top 3 risks the banks are facing, I would definitely read the third party risk in the top 3 bucket. Having said that, there is no one silver bullet to handle the third party. I think it has to be handled well before onboarding the vendor. So you do your due diligence to find out the cyber capabilities of the vendors. The second aspect is when you onboard them, right? You do a regular continuous assessments. As part of the regular assessment, the audit is a part one. Second is again the attack surface management role in basically finding out the attack surface of your third party vendor. There are good cyber security rating companies have come up. So you onboard them, you know, and you'll find out, you know, the how good, bad, ugly the vendor posture is. Last bit, I think all of us have realized that managing this vendor, be it a audit, but attack surface, etc., is a more cumbersome process, largely more reactive process. So automation is also playing a important role right now, whereby again, the AI/ML based stuff will be able to give you the vulnerabilities, the common vulnerability patterns, the trends across a specific vendor for either a common set of vulnerabilities or for all set of vulnerabilities over a period of time. So that so which is a good vendor, which is a ugly vendor, and then the buck stops where when you find that the specific vendor, the pattern is very weak in terms of the increased cybersecurity risk over a period of time. The most important aspect is go back to the business who have onboarded the vendor, in shutting them off, right? So if that loop is not closed, then it becomes like a siloed activities done by the InfoSec team and not stitching it to the core cyber risk, the business risk part of it.
Absolutely, but as you said, it starts with due diligence, and that is the first step in the process. I'm going to come to you, Suresh, and talk a little bit about how, Motilal Oswal has been a real pace setter. You guys have been integrating AI into your products in a very long time. So how do you ensure that all of these AI models and the underlying systems are actually secure by design?
Pretty deep question, honestly. The way it's all about how the philosophy and the culture is set, right? So the AI piece, it's the first thing which we started thinking is that, let us do something Atmanirbhar. So what we started doing is, we have rich knowledge about the market, right? We have phenomenal talent which talks and predict a pretty precise information about what is going to be up, down, right? So the thought came was, let us have our own AI engines and let us have our own prediction capabilities. When we started working on that, the good thing which came out is that the prediction capabilities and the control on AI is in our hands. Now we can govern it. Now we can actually do things much more swiftly and embed them into the technology faster. So to give you one word, I think it's all in-house.
Okay. It's all in-house, and that's quite reassuring. What about you, Gaurav? What kind of collaborations do you think will actually help to enhance threat intelligence? What kind of steps are you guys taking at Jio to actually foster collective security across sectors?
Across sector is a big word, but like my friend Suresh said, Atmanirbhar, do a lot of things in-house. So if AI is the new attack surface, like I mentioned in my last answer. We all have to look at how we can deal with AI, and I strongly believe you can only deal with the power with the same power. So we use a lot of AI to counter AI, and if you look at OWASP top 10 list, prompt injection is the topmost in it. So so there is a lot which we have done, and collaboratively, like my friend Suresh said, we have to also risk our vendors and then see where they are scoring, and then shut them off very soon if they are not scoring well, and probably give them a warning. So all of that is a combined strategy or a collective strategy. Obviously, as Jio Platforms also give services to our sister companies like finance, media and all. So the same thing we try to share and care for them as well.
Okay. And Atmanirbhar at the core of that, so that's good to know. So Vishal, let me now come to you for the final question. How is it that you're seeing the role of the Chief Information Security Officer evolving? How do you see it evolving over the next few years, and what are going to be some of the key responsibilities or factors that they need to keep in mind?
All right. So I'm just quoting Samir, right? The cyber risk is the business risk, right? I think it summarizes beautifully. Which essentially means that CISO's role in current scenario is not just the gatekeeper's role, which I quoted earlier, right? It's extremely important that they are the business drivers at this point of time, right? Because this is how they need to be treated. Second thing, which is equally critical, is that security or the CISO viewship inside the organization is extremely critical in terms of embedding that as a culture of security within the organization. I think that's the key responsibility of a CISO, right, to embed that, right. Within Wipro, for example, Athir, for example, is responsible that drive that culture within the organization, that every single person, which is whether it's a HR function or a delivery function, everyone are basically need to understand what are the nitty-gritties, and CISO at the helm of every single thing as such.
Yeah.
So precisely bring back to the point, business, right?
Yeah.
So CISO and business nowadays goes hand in hand.
And like you said, not just the gatekeeper, but the business driver. So, Athir, since you're in the hot seat, really, this need for cybersecurity, we've just seen it grow and evolve over the past many years. But how do you see it reshaping over the next few years? And how do you see the nature of leadership as well of the CISO evolving, keeping this in mind?
Okay, very interesting question. I think cybersecurity is definitely reshaping leadership by making cybersecurity a shared responsibility today.
Okay.
Right? It is no longer just the CISO's agenda. Cybersecurity is just not CISO's agenda. Every leader today needs to think in terms of risk, resilience, and trust. Right? And obviously, the driving forces we know very well, and those driving forces have been there for some time. It is AI, it's regulations, it is the speed of digital transformation, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the driving forces which are prompting these changes. And there is also kind of a shift that we see. The shift is, as most of my co-panelists have been telling about it, right, in terms of security decisions today are business decisions.
Yeah.
And that will change how leaders will start thinking, prioritizing, engaging, and leading altogether, right? So cybersecurity is definitely reshaping leadership today across the board.
I think you've just given us a headline that it is not just the CISO's responsibility, but it's a shared responsibility. Absolutely. Abhijit, would you like to chime in and tell us about how cybersecurity is actually now going beyond just the operational protection, because now it is deeply integrated with what the brand stands for, with what the company stands for, and stands for even customer trust.
I think what is important when you kind of look at cybersecurity as a shared responsibility, and so there always is this paradigm of business versus security, right? Now I again use this small acronym called TRIC. It is minus the K. It's the English word TRIC minus the K.
Okay.
Stands for threat, risk, impact, and consequence. Threat and risk is for the technology team to understand. Impact and consequence is for the business team to understand. I think, and they understand that, right? So anything that you kind of do, if it kind of meets these four pillars, right, and how well do they meet it, how well is it sustained, is where the business decisions are taken, right? Because I think a business owner would understand what's the impact and the consequence, and should or should not, right?
Yeah.
I think that kind of pretty well summarizes and defines the way ahead on the cybersecurity piece of it right now. I think the challenge here is obviously across the organization, kind of getting everyone to align to the same thought process.
Yeah.
The awareness piece of it, the practice piece of it. You may be aware, but are you practicing? That's also equally important, right? So I think those are the challenges and the constraints, and organizations will have to deal with it, and it'll have to come from the top. It just can't be bottoms up. It has to be tops down.
Yeah. So you spoke of some of the challenges, and I want to get in your take as well, Samir, as to what your outlook is in terms of how you look at cybersecurity now being at the core of customer trust, a company's reputation, and the brand, what the brand really stands for.
So let me bucket this into...
Any acronyms you have?
No, which is the best.
Yes.
Okay, so let me put it into two buckets,
Okay.
right? Security for the infrastructure or security for the bank, right? And second bucket would be security for the customer. Okay, so I think let us, because generally we all have been focusing on securing the bank in our case, right?
Yeah.
Securing the infrastructure, so whenever you talk to the CXOs from tech and security background, the focus is much on how I'm protecting my assets, right?
Yeah.
But the most important part is securing the customer, right? Because that's when the real revenue generation starts, right? So you need confidence, you need trust, you need fantastic experience given to the customer whenever they are on your digital properties,
Yes.
right? So I think, as I said, marrying the security versus the convenience is a trick, right? And it requires a little bit of leadership by the CISOs. It requires the influencing abilities, the subject matter expertise, understanding the business very well. Because if you don't know the way the business works, then slightly disconnect happen between the CISOs and the business leaders, and then it in a way affects the positioning part of it. So these are some of the important areas which obviously the people learns by managing it, the complex institutions. And when you talk about the securing the banks, I think obviously people have spoken about it. The AI/ML, the Gen AI, agentic AI are definitely the emerging big risk for that matter. The API security is also becoming very critical because of the perimeter is got blurred now. There is so when basically a mesh of the organizations, mesh of the fintechs. I can't say that HDFC Bank is, for example, not connected to Motilal Oswal or for that matter, right? So we are all part of the ecosystem now. It's a web now, as you rightly said. So definitely the threats are very complex.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to target us, he will probably may not directly, maybe through somebody else, right? So we need to understand that part of it. There the API ecosystem plays a very complex role. Then of course, I don't want to recommend, but the ransomwares and the cloud is still an area which is evolving rapidly, and no control are sufficient on a given day, right? We need to upskill, study a lot, talk to multiple people, the threat intelligence feeds, etc., and accordingly tweak your strategies to handle these emerging areas.
So taking off from there, Suresh, let's come to you as to the role of a CISO, how important it is, like he said, security married with convenience, how important it is to tweak, to reskill, and to grow. How do you see that role evolving?
You see, this role is all about balancing things. You are never you'll not never find yourself alone. That what you think it is the best, and the business will say, yeah, do it. No, this is not how security works. So this role is a balancing role. I think back several years back when I started, it was like, what, we will do AppSec, and we are happy doing that. Now we are not talking about AppSec at all kind of situation. We are talking something, I mean, Saras pointed a very good point, because we thought if we make our house secure, everything is secure. But then there is Motilal sitting in HDFC house, there is Jio sitting in that house, and then so the owners of that organization becomes so big, and the direct responsibility comes onto the person, because the role is evolving eventually, right. And I think the threats have made things look difficult, but however, if you see the web which you rightly mentioned, I think it is all about how the business becomes complicated. We call it as integrated, but the fact is that the more we integrate things, more the role will evolve, because more the threats will come, and then the person will have to be more cautious about it. So that's how the whole journey started. Okay. Right?
Gaurav, would you like to add to that and talk about the evolving role of cybersecurity as well as the CISO?
I think Samir mentioned that it is no more about just securing, but it is business value as well. Yeah. So I agree to it. It is so the role of CISO is evolving rapidly as the security is becoming the mainstay, and the geopolitical situations which are happening across the world. We have seen what the Western companies have done with they were vendors for a lot of people, and now a lot of people are starting building or using companies in India. Solutions built out of India. So I think this has become more and more important, and AI is becoming the centerpiece. I would like to say again that agentic AI or AI are the new attack surfaces which everybody is dealing with. We will have to use AI for our customers' benefits, but we'll also, all the cybersecurity professionals, CISOs, we can call them Chief AI Security Officer as well going forward.
New role.
New role, if you are asking for. So I think that's the evolution which everybody will have to.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining in. And that indeed was a truly insightful discussion. We really brought to light how, India is leading. CISOs are redefining security as a strategic business advantage. So thank you all, gentlemen, for sharing your perspectives and, of course, to our viewers for tuning in. You've been watching Forbes India and Wipro presents Lead with Change, the CXO Boardroom Dialogues. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.
Forbes India and Wipro present Lead with Change, CXO Boardroom Dialogues.